What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Tuesday, February 1st. Happy February. Now, yesterday we got some very big news. Something major happened yesterday, and it could ultimately lead us to getting out of this pandemic. So what happened, and what's the big news that we need to address? Well, here's some really good news. Yesterday, South Africa changed their isolation guidelines. And now, even if you test positive, but you are asymptomatic, according to them, you do not have to isolate. Now, people that do test positive and do have symptoms, you still must isolate according to their guidance. Now, for those that are in a close contact with somebody that does test positive, now only if you do not have or develop any symptoms, you don't have to isolate. Now, why is this such big news? This is huge because this is what we've been seeing over the past few weeks and really seeing what the CDC says and what other health experts are saying. Right now, it's an attempt to eliminate the isolation process, because what we are seeing is our worker shortages are causing a supply chain shortage. And supply chain shortages cause another worker shortage. So it's just a big never-ending cycle that we have to get out of. So this could be big. This could be big if the United States sees, okay, South Africa did this. They're seeing their cases drop. Maybe we can do this as well. So according to experts, they do say that if the United States were to eliminate the isolation process and you don't have to isolate for 5 days, that would get more people back to work. It would get the supply chain issue somewhat fixed. Now, it wouldn't be resolved, okay? Don't get me wrong there. It would be a little bit better. So things are looking up. But we do got some other news as well. We also know that Pfizer, they have confirmed that the vaccine for children under the age of 5, this should be available by the end of February. They, according to reports, will be requesting the emergency use authorization from the FDA as soon as today. So these two moves could be a huge jump back to normalcy for us here in the United States. And these two things, in conjunction with the drop we are seeing in COVID cases and hospitalizations, according to experts, this could mean we are going to see much more of a normal March and April coming up. So this is pretty good news. Now let me know what you think of this down in the comment section below. I know a lot of people are saying it's the isolation period that gets them, because they test positive, they are perfectly fine. No headache, no fever, no coughing, no nothing. But yet they can't go back to work. They can't go to work. They're going to miss 5 days of work, right? It's just a struggle. And I know a lot of people have gone through this. And that's the issue, is how do we go back to a normal life if this is our new normal? This can't be here. We cannot have a 5-day isolation if we are going to go back to normal. At least that's according to multiple experts. Now, multiple governors just the other day told President Biden that we need to move away from the pandemic. They say that currently there's no guideline for when we can move out of this pandemic. And that's what governors are demanding. They want to know, well, is it our COVID cases are down at a certain level for that specific state? Does that mean we're out of the pandemic? If we get X amount of people vaccinated, which I don't think is ever going to happen. When I say X, I'm talking about 80, 90%. Is that our threshold to go back to normal, open up? That's what governors want to know. And that's where the Biden administration has been pretty silent. They don't have any guidance there. But what does all this mean for stimulus or pandemic relief or any other bills coming up? Here's what we know. As for stimulus, Democrats want to pass a smaller Build Back Better Act, something with a smaller footprint. As of right now, progressives are on board with passing just about anything. They just want to get something passed so that they can move forward. They say that progress is still progress, even if this means the entire Build Back Better Act and Biden's agenda isn't passed. But this also means that any negotiations will revolve around a climate bill. That's the only thing that has bipartisan support. It does have some bipartisan support. This does have overwhelming support within the Democratic Party, though. This means $500 billion will be taken up instantly. However, there's one argument that we keep seeing come up over and over again, and that is, when will all this get passed? I know the American people, I know you guys that are watching, you keep on asking, well, when are we going to get another stimulus check? Or, why don't they just pass a $2,000 check? Or why isn't there more for the American people? That's the problem, is how much should they give the American people? And that's what nobody can agree on. Some say if we're going to give a little bit, we might as well just give everybody, something. But then moderates say, no, that's too much. We can't deficit spend, at least at this time. So right now, that's the discussion is, what can we spend? Where do we have support? What can we get passed within a 50-50 split Senate? Now, Democrats know one thing, and that's if they wait too long, the need for forward stimulus won't be as strong. But on the same note, they know that passing retroactive stimulus as well is not going to get much support from moderate Democrats. So timing is going to be key. But let me explain that really quick. And I've said this for the past few weeks, is that was what the report was a few weeks ago, is that if Democrats are going to pass a stimulus bill, it has to come soon. And I said that we have it's 3 to 4 months before November to get a bill passed. So was that October, September, August, July? And then before that, you probably got another 3 months to get something passed. So really, we need to get this bill passed before the end of March. But progressives are saying, and many Democrats are arguing, let's get this passed before March 1st so that President Biden can come out, tell the American people what they're going to be getting when he does his State of the Union address. But as of right now, that's a month away. A month to get a major piece of legislation done within this Congress is going to be very difficult. So timing is going to be key, but it'll be interesting to see how they move forward. Now, let's address pandemic relief. I want to address this for one main reason. Currently, experts are saying that there is still a need for pandemic-related expenses because they don't anticipate COVID going away even when we go back to more normalcy. They say the Biden administration has been rumored multiple times to publicly request more pandemic relief from Congress. However, they have yet to do so. And I addressed this, it's probably going on a month now. I addressed this about a month ago that the Biden administration was going to request more from Congress. But that hasn't happened. But we did see reports just the other day that the coffers are running dry on previous funds. And the expectation is they will run out of money sometime in the middle of the summer. Here's what I can tell you. Passing a major pandemic relief bill towards the middle to end of summer when we're coming up on a midterm election is going to be very difficult. I don't know if Senator Joe Manchin would support a major COVID relief bill at that time. And I get this question all the time is, why do lawmakers, entertain Manchin? Why do they keep doing this? He's going to be gone after the midterm elections anyway, right? Wrong. Senator Joe Manchin isn't up for re-election in 2022. He's actually, I believe it's 2025. I believe that's when he is up for re-election. So, Senator Joe Manchin is going to be here. That's the problem. This is why lawmakers have to entertain him, because he's not up for re-election, not like some other people are. So for him, this doesn't matter. It's not a big deal to him if he shuts everything down, because he's still going to be the senator. So this could be interesting to see what happens, but that's the expectation is if the coffers are running dry, we need more pandemic-related relief, it has to come soon. It can't come in the middle of the summer, because that's going to be too late in the year. And for anybody that's running for re-election, that could be very difficult, because their voters could be like, oh, we didn't get enough for pandemic-related expenses. We didn't get anything for the American people. There's always going to be something. So it's going to be difficult to pass a bill at that time, whether you're for it or against it. So we'll see. Let's see. Currently, here's what we know, though, regarding Senator Joe Manchin, is that he does seem to be a little bit more interested on the election reform bill and getting that done prior to passing a skinnier Build Back Better Act. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, I want to address what the White House is actually planning. The White House this morning, they have confirmed that they will be taking steps to getting unemployment insurance and making this much easier for the American people. Based on multiple studies, they have said that higher educated workers are more likely to apply for unemployment insurance and actually receive benefits. What we saw over the past 2 years, coming up on 2 years, which is shocking, but it is, over the past 2 years, what we have seen is people apply for unemployment insurance. However, they have to wait to get this benefit because they didn't do things right. So because of those issues, what we are seeing is that the White House wants to introduce a new pilot program that's going to be launched to help people fill out the applications for unemployment insurance. And they're actually going to be going and hiring people that have actually done this before. So bringing in new people to fill out the applications for people that are trying to get unemployment insurance. Now, the Labor Department said this, and I quote, "People who have experience with it are able to get through quicker, answer the questions right, and deal with the hurdles. But people who've never been through it before kind of get stuck." Here's what I can say from personal experience. I have had to file for unemployment insurance. Not recently, but I've had to file for unemployment insurance. Now, it was extremely difficult my very first time. I actually had to have a friend help me do it. This was, I don't know, I was 18, 19, something like that. So 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I had to have somebody help me do it the first time. After that, it was easy, simple. And guess what? The process, according to a few people that I know, hasn't changed. It's the exact same system that is still in place to this day here in Washington State. Okay? Now, there's the other problem. Every single state has a different system. So if you go from, let's say you live in California, and you're working, you're doing things fine, okay, great, then you move. They need unemployment insurance. Well, that's a problem. Now you got to figure out a new system. Now, here's what I can tell you. Over the past 2 years, this has definitely been the case, is people are struggling just to fill out their applications. I read reports, I think this past week, that there's still hundreds of thousands of people still waiting on unemployment benefits that they have yet to receive from the early days of the pandemic. And it's all because they didn't properly fill out the applications. There was some red flag. There was some issue that they had to get resolved. And being that they already filled it out, now they have to fix the issue. They can't just go and reapply because they already have their account. So, major issues. But that's what we're seeing. And the Labor Department also said that this new unemployment insurance navigator program, this will help people with the most basic tasks of securing unemployment benefits. And they say that navigators have been used in the past to help people apply for things like health insurance subsidies that happened, very, very recently. This past year, we also saw navigators were used to help small businesses apply for assistance there as well. And the Labor Department says that with the antiquated systems used by the states, this is something that had to be done. We need to have a major change. And this is the change that we're seeing. And the reason why the White House has to go this route and hire unemployment insurance navigators or UI navigators is because they are saying that even though lawmakers want to pass a sweeping unemployment insurance bill, that's great. The problem is they don't have overwhelming support, especially in the Senate. And even though Congress can't get really any uniform system done across the country, the White House says they can at least start this pilot program and expand as necessary. So here's how they're starting. It's very small. Currently, they're only going to give out $15 million in grants to 5 states. Just 5. That's it. Now, those 5 states are going to try out the system, and if it works, we see some success, then the United States and the Biden administration is going to roll this out to more states. Now, we haven't heard if it's going to be 5 states and then all of a sudden it's open to everybody. My guess is probably not, especially if it's going to be $15 million in grants. I don't know if it's total $15 million or each state gets $15 million. I believe it's each state. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that one. But we don't know what would happen if this is seen as a successful move. So we'll see what happens there, and I'll fill you in on the news as we get it. Now, let's get back to that election reform bill, because here's what I can tell you. Right now, there is bipartisan support. There's a bipartisan group of senators who actually met last night to discuss the Electoral Count Act. Now, there are reports that say there's a lot of interest in changing the law, but the reports also indicate that this won't be a quick bill. This will actually take quite a bit of time to come up with an agreement, vote on it, and ultimately pass the bill. And right now, the Senate isn't just worried on a voting rights bill, and this, according to some, should be pretty much put on the back burner. Stick it over there with the Build Back Better Act, according to some. Because right now, the Senate has to worry about the government funding bill and the upcoming opening for the Supreme Court seat. And Senator Joe Manchin, he said this yesterday, that he is anxious to confirm Judge Breyer's Supreme Court successor. And he said, and I quote, "I think that basically, especially if it's somebody who's already been vetted, that we put on one of the benches before, circuit or district. That'll make it go even quicker. But we just have to fill the seat, and I'm anxious to get this done." That's what he said. So, here's what I can tell you. Right now, there's 2 main things. One is taking priority. The 2 things are the government funding bill and the Supreme Court seat. The one that has to take priority is the government funding bill, because we have 17 days from today to get this passed. That seems like a very tall task, and some say that this is almost going to be impossible to get this done. But if we can get those 2 things done, then the next thing will be the voting rights bill. It will be, we can go into, the election reform, right? But the main thing is that we have to see forward progress. If we see some forward progress, and we've seen this before, where Congress gets a little bit of momentum, right? It's like you get that little snowball, at the top of the hill, and you start rolling it a little bit. It gets a little bit bigger, then it has momentum as it drops down the hill. That's what Congress needs. They need momentum, because as of right now, they haven't really done anything in almost a year. So we'll see what happens, but that is what we know at this time. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.